Hi everyone, this is Terri Coutts and John B.
Hi.
We are doing, I don't know, I think it's our third, fourth?
This is my second.
Your second?
It's
Oh, I'm ahead of you.
yes, you're ahead of me.
Aha, I'm a great ahead of you. And this is for YouTube. So what we thought we'd talk tonight about is maybe souls returning. Do you believe, John B., that souls can return in another body, human and or animal?
Oh man, that's a tough one.
I know it's loaded.
I'm a pragmatist. I've seen no evidence. How's that?
Have you ever had a feeling that something was familiar in a person?
Yes. Yes, I have. But I couldn't go out and say, yes, I fully believe this, quite honestly. Mm-hmm. Not to say that it isn't true, it's just I haven't seen evidence. You're in a much better position to address this than I am.
Well, you wonder sometime whether it's wishful thinking, because when you lose something or somebody so much, you love them so much, you just wish with your whole heart and soul that they would come back. Even as a blade of grass, it doesn't matter. Just
well, that's where I am on it. That
you wish that they come back.
Yeah, I think the human mind, I mean, everything we perceive is through our own mind, mm-hmm. right? So that we can want it bad enough that we can see it.
It could be our truth. Well, certain cultures, too, I think Hindus firmly believe in reincarnation, right. If I'm not mistaken. Lately with Trump, I'm trying to be very accurate in things. I don't want to slide with any of my alternative facts. But I know that they believe in it. And there's another culture that when there's a certain Buddha that's been 500 years coming back. I think it's 500. And they just found him. In fact, that series that's with Morgan Freeman, Searching for God, mm-hmm. It's on the National Geographic Channel. And he had done a series on this little child that was the reincarnation of the last monk that had passed away. And it's the same soul.
Isn't that the belief about the Dalai Lama?
Yes, is that he reincarnated. Same thing, yeah. And this wasn't the Dalai Lama; it was a monk, but right. Monk child. But there was something I got to say, because Morgan Freeman was talking to him in a very pleasant way. You know, he did that series very, very well. But you could see something in the child's eyes that wasn't an 11-year-old boy. Mm-hmm. But you could still see the child.
Right.
So it was interesting to watch and to be able to listen, and some of the things that he was willing to give up, like really childhood. Mm-hmm. They allowed him to play, but the structure around his life was phenomenal. So,
I would ask: is that a case of him being who he is, or them making him who they want him to be?
No, that's the thing.
It's the big question of, did God create us, or did we create God, you know?
Yeah, that's true. That's a good question. I guess it's the chicken and the egg kind of thing, isn't it?
Yeah, except, is it really a chicken?
It's true.
Or are we seeing a pheasant?
Yeah.
You know?
It's true. Now, I can't say personally that I've ever run into another human that I've recognized as somebody that was familiar to me, either in my family or my life, and had reincarnated. I haven't run into that. I believe, with the animals mm-hmm. on occasion.
See, and I believe you. I know I want to just clarify this, that I am skeptical only because I have not seen it. Mm-hmm. I have no reason to doubt that you aren't seeing or feeling or knowing what you know. Mm-hmm. I just haven't experienced it myself.
Well, it doesn't, there's wishful thinking where your dog dies and then this other one comes and you think, oh, this is my other dog. And I'm not saying that their reality is wrong. I'm just saying sometimes it is wishful thinking. Mm-hmm. It's when it catches you by surprise. That's when I think
when you know you're not projecting.
You're not projecting it. It's just shock.
Right.
It's as shocking for you as it is for anything. One of my dogs had passed away, and I was really having a hard time dealing with it because when you have to make the decision: is it too early? Is it too late? Did I hurt them? It's a horrible decision.
It is.
Never gets easier either. Excuse me. And I was sitting on the bucket in the barn. And I was crying. And Minnie, do you remember Minnie, the little cattle dog?
Yes.
Okay, little, like Hammer, only in a female form. So little Minnie, which was not the most wonderful dog in the world at times, but had a heart of gold. She had come up and was trying to console me, as dogs do, and she just put her chest against my heart. So I knew it was her. And my eyes were closed, and I'm crying, and I got tears all over. And when I went to open them, you know that foggy thing? Went to open them to take a breath. And it wasn't Minnie anymore. It was the dog that I was crying for, only she was 3 years old, which shocked me. Because I wasn't thinking that. I hadn't seen her as a 3-year-old for 10 years.
Right.
And I just went, and then it was gone. But it was her.
Wow.
So then that opens up the can of worms of some people do believe in walk-ins, where a soul can walk in. Is it that the pain of the loss is so great that the other soul has to come in and help you through it? I don't know. There's just with every answer, there's like 15 more questions.
Well, there's a reason that my life philosophy is who could know.
That's true.
And this is one of them. I mean, seriously, who could know? I could arrogantly say, well, it's ridiculous. There's no known mechanism for such a thing to happen. There's no nothing you can break down in science that says this would happen. So far, there's no known thing in science. So, yeah, you can always, I think you can, excuse me, you can always leave the door open, I think, and still be happy as I am, as a pragmatist, as a doubtful sort of individual.
Okay, now science can be fooled, but magicians can't be.
I think humans were born to be fooled.
So, well, you take, I think so too. So you take science, you take the scientists. They were terrified that the Russians, when in the 62, 63 time, where they were afraid that Kennedy had gotten too strong with Cuba and Russia, and that there was going to be a nuclear holocaust, and everybody's going to live in a cave with sores all over them.
The October missile crisis.
Exactly.
1960, yeah.
Yep. And aerial pictures had shown hundreds of thousands of missiles that the Russians had, and the scientists were doing the numbers, that this was the statistics, this is, they were going to annihilate us. And they were ahead of us. Well, the magicians could see that these missiles weren't missiles, they were trees that were painted like logs with fins put on them.
Sure.
So the magicians actually could see the flaw in the reality.
But that's not science.
No, but the scientific people did the stats.
Right.
So they were the pragmatists. They were the stats. But the magicians, meaning the people that can see beyond,
sure,
could see through the ruse.
Sure.
So I'm wondering about science. Like, really, science blinds itself sometimes.
Again, the old Thomas Dolby song, "She Blinded Me with Science."
Exactly. Because, we're not supposed to eat eggs because they add cholesterol. Now we're supposed to have 2 eggs a day because it lowers your cholesterol.
That's a situation where it's a matter of studies, a matter of one group doing a study and using certain parameters, and another group doing a study and using different parameters. And a lot of studies can be tainted by who's paying for the studies. What I'm saying, like the Egg Growers Association will find that eggs are great for you. The cholesterol medicine people will say it isn't.
Yeah. Do you think there's anything to the fact that they say that if you have the mental capacity and you're doing the experiment, that your intention can change the outcome of that experiment?
Well, that's sort of
there's anything to that?
Yes and no. There's the whole quantum physics thing that they're just sort of getting their heads around. That the very perception of an experiment will alter the results of it.
Yeah, that's true. I know it's true.
Yeah. So, I guess basically what I'm trying to say is that at this point, we don't know of any mechanism scientifically that could allow for a consciousness to remain once the vessel, the brain or whatever, is gone. But what I'm also saying is there's a whole lot we don't know.
Absolutely.
So just because we haven't discovered it yet doesn't mean we won't discover it. And I mean, a true pragmatist will stay wide open to this, because if tomorrow you came to me and said they've discovered how it happens, I'd say, well, I'm on board. Awesome. You know, so I mean, I don't rule it out. I'm just not aware of how it could happen.
So what would be your take on the geniuses that are 3 years old and doing concertos?
Some kind of brain anomaly.
I wish I had one.
Yeah, I don't know if that doesn't come with a cost, though.
Oh, I'm sure it does. I'm sure it does.
If they end up with deficits in other areas.
You think that a brain anomaly possibly helped them be a fiddle expert?
Yeah.
Like, how?
I don't. I'm not a neurologist or anything.
Okay, so you think certain neurons are able to remember?
Look at a savant.
Yes.
You know, a savant may or may not have deficits. You know, some are autistic, some have social deficits. There was one I saw that was phenomenal. This young guy, they took him in New York City, gave him a helicopter ride over the city, and then he went back and drew a mural that was, I don't know, 20 feet long or 30 feet long of what he saw, and they were correct. The buildings were correct for height, for the number of windows, and it was too big to remember. But he had this photoeidetic memory that just recalled every single thing he saw, and he was able to translate it into his drawing.
Wow, the mind is so amazing.
Yeah, so I think what we're capable of is still unknown, probably, you know.
So have you ever felt familiar in an area that you've never been before, but you knew beyond a shadow of a doubt that road was going to turn to the left, and there was going to be a little white house on the right-hand side? Again,
your journey through life is way better than mine.
Or different, just different.
See, my mom used to tell this story when she was young. She started working, I think, at 13 in Montreal, and her first job was as a secretary. And she swears when she went into the building and they took her to the floor, she already knew where everything was. They were starting to explain it to her, and she said, no, those files are over there, and this is down the hall.
So it was familiar
to her. She knew the whole place before she ever went into it. And, I mean, that was a story that she always told with absolute confidence that happened to her. I've just never had that happen to me.
Yeah, I have. Not a lot, but I've had it, you know, where I know... Remember, I was very young. I was 7, 9, something like that. I can remember what I was wearing. I could see it in my head. And I remember telling my dad we were going to Sault Ste. Marie, and we had never been there before. And as we went up this hill, I said, Dad, when you go down the hill, there's going to be a curve right there, and then on the right-hand side is that White House. Is that White House where we're going to be staying? It wasn't where we were going to be staying. But there was a White House on the right-hand side, yeah.
Yeah, you beat the odds on that one.
Yeah, sure. And the curve that was to the left.
See, what I'm saying is I don't deny any of this. I just
But where does it come from?
I want to know how.
Oh, yeah, me too.
And that's my problem.
Yeah, me too. I want to know how does the smells of that place be so familiar?
Yeah.
So getting back to the dogs, that was part of this movie. Is that this dog, after 3 lifetimes, smelled the familiarity of this one person. So I don't know. Like, there's just so many questions and so.
So when the dog came back, did he know of his previous lives?
He did remember.
He did? Yeah. Okay.
The first one. Well, I can't tell because people are going to watch the movie, so I wouldn't.
Spoiler alert.
There were 4 different lifetimes in that movie. In the book, I think there were more lifetimes in the dogs.
I mean, I would have to sit in a movie where 3 dogs die.
Yeah.
Oh.
But you knew he was coming back, and he came back right away. So there wasn't. You were crying, but you didn't have much time to cry, and then they made you laugh because the puppy was right there. So. They made you laugh at different things. So you were laughing and crying all at the same time.
Yeah.
But this dog knew. And sometimes there is a wisdom in animals that I think that we can't touch. We don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if we projected on him or not, but I've certainly felt that. With Jack, who was the single most phenomenal dog I ever met. One of the most phenomenal people I ever met.
I know, with fur.
He was my hero and my role model.
Mm-hmm.
And when you looked at him, when you made eye contact, there was something that happened. And the pragmatist in me says, well, it's all me. It's just me projecting.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't really convince myself that was the case, So maybe I'm not a good pragmatist either. I don't know.
Maybe you're changing. Maybe
I'm a failure at everything.
I know. Maybe your understanding or your thinking of things is changing, and that's how it happens, isn't it? It's a little bit at a time.
Yeah, I guess.
It's nice to be open-minded. Well, I guess we'll just leave it with everybody else, too. I'm sure people have had their experiences. If you feel like you want to add something to our YouTube discussion, please feel free to do that. I'd love to hear your comments, if they're nice. If they're not nice, leave them under somebody else's name.
If they're not nice, just assume we've already thought them.
Yeah. But if you'd like to get a hold of John B. and I, don't be afraid to give the station a call. We're on CKLW Monday nights from 7 o'clock to 8 o'clock. You know the number better than I do. You're saying it all the time.
AM 800, Windsor, Ontario. It's 519-792-2559.
Yeah, you did that real well, just like on the show. That's amazing.
On the show.
And if you'd like to book a reading with me, I'd be happy to have you do that. You can email me at Terri, Terri.Coutts, Coutts, @gmail.com, or you can call me, 519-726-6699, and we can book an appointment and see if we can destroy you too. But if you do seriously have a comment, be well aware that we would love to have you leave a comment and get a little thing going there.
And we are positive people, so be nice, please.
Yeah, I think for the most part, I know. And if not, we can just delete you anyway. So don't be afraid to be deleted. All right, until next week. Bye for now, everybody.
Bye.